Welcome back, everybody. Derrick Sue, your East Oakland advocate. Well, today, what I'm going to talk about is probably one of the most dangerous fight scenes and scenarios that you can ever get into. It's a knife fight or a machete fight, and you are unarmed. I'm going to talk to you about how I fight this, and it's a special technique that I use. It's extremely effective. I've used this technique. It was shown to me by an Eskrima master. And my friend Felix, his family uh, goes back to the 15th century in the Philippines, where Eskrima and Kali was originated, and it was brought in and blended with the Filipino arts and Spanish fighting. So this is a technique that works very well for me. It was shown to me by Felix way back in the 90s, and I've used it effectively. And it's a strange technique, but once you learn and have figured out all the moves, it's a brilliant technique. And so anyway, I have extensive fighting experience with knives going back to all the way back to 1975. I've been dealing with knives and fighting knives for many, many decades. And then I got better. And for those of you that are skeptical about some of the things, I'm going to show you some of my actual scars from fighting. And that's probably my biggest one right there. And that was a block that came about while the person was swiping. And I wasn't able to trap the hand, but this was blocked him from cutting me, stabbing me, slicing me. Because amateurs, they do a lot of slashing. Let's face it, they have no idea what they're doing, and they do a lot of slashing. And so this particular technique works very well for that type of person. Some other injuries that this particular technique protected me from harm on this arm. You'll see some marks there. Right here is a double stabbing. And you say, well, you got stabbed. Yeah, well, he stabbed bone. That's all bone. And that's what this particular technique is. And so I'm going to show you some of the highlights of it. So I'm going to back this up just a bit so that you can see a little better. And it's a technique when it starts out this way. And it's the best way in a fight. Look, I don't want to fight you. I don't want to fight you. But then you can switch. And now it becomes the butterfly. And this butterfly grab, this butterfly technique also protects you from stabbings, protects you from swipes. So you can take and trap these. This is the trap. This is your Venus flytrap right here, your two hands. And so once the hand is trapped in the V, your hands simply turn and grab, and now you've got hold of that person's hand, plus you control the knife. And you, my favorite technique is to stretch the arm out really hard and then impact the elbow, breaking the arm. And that's how I disarm a lot of people. Another technique that works really well with the butterfly is once you've trapped them and you have now secured the hands, you have a lot of options here. Breaking the arm is one. Twisting twisting the arm and leveraging the elbow forward. You don't have to break it, but you just leverage it forward and hold the arm, the forearm here with this hand, because you've already trapped it. And now what you're going to do, you're going to bend them and then get them to go face down into the ground and force them to drop the knife. So that's one couple of ways that you can use that, but also another one, again, you do the butterfly trap, but then now what you're going, so coming out of the butterfly, you have the knife, you have a person, an attacker, just using a knife, just straight pointing it at you, threatening you with this. One of my favorite things to do, and I learned this. This is a Wing Chun move that I I have my hands up, and then what I'm going to do is quickly move my hand out, and then get my hand, my first hand into this V, and then cause that arm to form a V. And then with the opposite hand, I'm going to be slapping the hand and then forcing the hand with that knife into his shoulder. And then if you're really good, which I was, you can also get them and really leverage that and ram it into their neck. So the movement is up, pull, and just a real good solid push on the hand, on the wrist. You want to aim for the wrist for this particular move. Once your hand makes contact with the wrist, you grab the wrist and you twist and line up that hand, so that this has to happen in literally under a second and a half. That's how quick it has to happen. And then what you're doing, you're just lining it up so that they stab themselves or go right into their own neck with that particular move. That's one of my favorite moves on knives. It ends the fight really quick, and I use that technique especially when I'm outnumbered. I have multiple attackers. In that particular sense, in 1976, I actually used that move against 6 knife-carrying gang members. 2 of them did not survive because I had to dwindle the numbers. That's what all of this is about, cutting down the numbers, not beating them as you go, but dwindling the numbers and controlling the flow of the fight. You have to control the flow, and that's what we do. And the butterfly technique right here, like I said, all you're giving that person as zones is bone. They're not getting through that with a knife, and so that was one of the really hard, deep cuts. But even then, it's not it's not deadly. It's not going to kill you during the heat of battle. You don't even feel it. But after the battle, you see the blood. There's going to be some blood in there, but nice thing about these are just minor flesh wounds, and they actually stop bleeding on their own mostly. None of these injuries that I have to my forearms, elbows, were life-threatening in any way. None of them needed stitches. In fact, I just put band-aids and a little bit of cleanup, and everything's back to normal. But that's a technique that my friend Felix showed me back in the 90s. His family is an Eskrima family dating back to the 15th century. So that was one of the techniques. I know a lot of you are going to say, well, that doesn't look like it really worked. But once you actually take the time, learn how to use this technique, and it's exclusive to this particular style of fighting and this particular fighting family. And so I was able to gain that particular technique, which has worked very well for me throughout my career at the DoD. And I was able to take out a lot of people with the butterfly technique. So thanks for joining me today. Hopefully that helps you. If you want to get better with your knife fighting skills, I highly recommend that you search out an Eskrima or Kali martial arts studio, where they actually work with weapons, and that's where you want to be. You want to work with the weapons, the bladed weapons, because these are the common things that come up on strong arm robberies on the streets. The next one is guns. That's going to be our next episode. I'm going to talk about disarming people, and actually, I'm going to describe about one of my last disarms, which was back in 2018, where a thug came in. He was threatening me because he didn't like cops, and I was labeled a cop in the homeless camp, and that's a very bad situation to have unless you have the technical wherewithal on how to deal with all of this. Thanks for joining me today. We'll be right back.